Imagine a city completely surrounded, on the absolute brink of destruction. We're about to dive into a dramatic story from ancient history, all about a solemn promise that was made under immense pressure, and the devastating consequences of breaking it. This is a powerful account from the prophet Jeremiah. So, let's start with the end. This is the prophecy Jeremiah delivered, and you can tell the stakes could not be any higher. We're talking total destruction for Jerusalem. But this wasn't some random warning out of the blue. Nope, this was a final verdict, and it came right after a stunning act of betrayal. So how on earth did they get to this point? To really get what this prophecy is all about, we've got to rewind a little. We have to go back to a moment of extreme crisis and a desperate attempt to find favor when it seemed like all was lost. All right, so picture this. The year is about 588 BC. King Zedekiah is on the throne, but his kingdom is crumbling. The massive, powerful army of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, has the city of Jerusalem completely surrounded. And inside the walls, things aren't much better. Society is just rife with corruption and injustice. The pressure is absolutely immense. So staring annihilation right in the face, King Zedekiah does something pretty remarkable. He leads the entire nation in a huge public act of repentance. He decides it's time to finally obey a law from their own sacred texts, a law they'd been ignoring for a long, long time. And for a moment, it really seems like a turning point. They called this the Covenant of Liberty. The king ordered that all Hebrew slaves had to be set free. It was the right thing to do according to their own law. And, amazingly, the people actually did it. All the leaders and the citizens, they gathered together and made this incredibly solemn vow before God to uphold this act of justice. It really looked like hope was finally back on the table. But that hope? It was tragically short-lived. A sudden change on the battlefield was about to put their newfound commitment to the test. And their response? Well, it became the point of no return. And then something totally unexpected happens. The Babylonian army suddenly pulls back and lifts the siege, probably to go deal with another threat somewhere else. All of a sudden, the immediate danger just vanishes. The pressure's off. And with that pressure gone, the true character of the city's leaders was about to come roaring back to the surface. The reversal was it was shocking. And it was immediate. 1 minute, they're in the temple vowing to proclaim liberty. The next minute, as soon as the threat is gone, they break that promise. The slave owners went out, rounded up the very people they had just set free, and forced them right back into slavery. Just like that. The text uses this really powerful phrase to describe what they did. They polluted my name. So what does that mean? It means this wasn't just some social misstep or a political blunder. No, this was a profound spiritual crime. They had used a sacred vow to God as like a temporary get-out-of-jail-free card. And by breaking it, they publicly dishonored everything that vow was supposed to represent. Yeah, you can bet an act of hypocrisy that big did not go unnoticed. The prophet Jeremiah gets another message to deliver. Only this time, it's not a warning, it's a verdict. And the judgment starts with the charge itself. It's God speaking through Jeremiah, just laying the case out plain and simple. You didn't listen to me. I told you to proclaim liberty, and you refused. And what comes next is this stunning, deeply ironic reversal. God says, okay, since you refuse to give liberty to your fellow human beings, I'm going to proclaim a different kind of liberty for you. A liberty to be handed over to the sword, to disease, and to starvation. And the judgment is total. The very people who broke the covenant would become nothing more than plunder for their enemies. They're described as vile figs, rotten, useless, something you just throw away. And any survivors? They'd be scattered among the nations, their name becoming a symbol of disgrace. And then the prophecy gets personal. King Zedekiah, the one who led the nation in making the vow and then led them in breaking it, he's told, oh no, you're not getting away. You will be captured and you will be forced to stand face to face with King Nebuchadnezzar himself. Now, a prophecy that specific and that devastating, you have to ask, right? Did it actually happen? Well, the historical record on this is chillingly clear. This timeline just lays out the cause and effect perfectly. The covenant is broken, the prophecy is delivered, and just a short time later, that Babylonian army comes right back. And in 586 BC, Jerusalem falls. And just as Jeremiah foretold, King Zedekiah is captured while he's trying to escape. And just look at how precisely this all played out. The prophecy said Zedekiah would be captured, and he was. It said he would see the king of Babylon with his own eyes, and he was brought directly before him. And then the historical record adds the final brutal details. After being forced to watch his own sons executed in front of him, Zedekiah was blinded and then hauled off to Babylon in chains. And just like that very first prophecy declared, the Babylonians burned the city and its magnificent temples straight to the ground. The nation was completely shattered, its people were driven into exile, and their homeland was left as nothing but a smoking ruin. So this entire account, from that desperate vow all the way to the fiery fulfillment, it really leaves us with a heavy question, doesn't it? It's a story from a specific moment in history for sure, but its theme is absolutely timeless. What is the true cost of a broken promise?